from Julio Cruz and Gaylord Perry to Alvin Davis and Harold Reynolds to father and son back-to-back bombs, from Junior J, Joey, and Edgar with Randy, A-Rod, Dan, and the Sheriff, to Ichiro Moyer and Mikey C, to King Felix, Kyle Cruz, and Cano, to the present with Julio, Gilbert, Kirby, and Cal. I don't believe it. It just continues. My, oh my, it's another sports podcast.
Yo, we live in here. We live in here. Chat, you with us? Chat, you with us? I see you, Mariners lifer. Emmett Brown already bringing the heat, talking shit, man. We won't keep you too long, dog. We ain't gonna hold you. If you want to go listen to Trump and Rogan bore your ear off for an hour and a half, be my motherfucking guest, dog. You know what we'll be at next week. Shit, we gonna be here, man. Jeez, Ty, what's up with you, bro?
You know what time it is, man. It has been a ridiculously tough day for Seattle sports fans. The Huskies are falling apart. The Seahawks suck. The Mariners are wonderfully mediocre. RG, you better be looking right now. I got a present for you, man, because I am sick of all this losing bullshit. I am sick of losing. I am jumping ship. I am jumping ship completely, man. I got to transfer to a winner. Ohio State, let's go. I'm giving up on my faithful teams. It's time to go to a winner.
You are absolutely lucky. We live 1,500 miles apart. If I was anywhere in your zip code, I would be kicking down your door, waving the fofo, and you would need some Nassau peacekeepers to get my foot out your ass. But before I go DEFCON 5 on you for the most disrespectful thing that has single-handedly ever happened on this podcast, what did they sign your NIL deal for?
Oh, man. I might be getting close to Howard money. Maybe even we might see a fat 000 in my bank account for this right now.
Your wife told you would sleep on the couch if you didn't put that shit on, didn't she? Oh my God.
The craziest thing is I'm the one that caught this gear.
He signed for cheese fries. Hell, you just ruined my whole weekend. Single-handedly.
We had to bring you down from your high somehow.
Asshole.
If y'all don't know what time it is, everybody on the live chat, it's my oh my, another sports podcast. You know we rep the Mariners from every corner of this beautiful country, and including the Ohio State Buckeyes from now on. RG, we were all really jealous of you last night, man. I think you better let the listeners in the live chat right away. My man, wait, time out. We got to give a round of applause because he's been gone for a minute. We got the dude back in the building. Huge shout out Vaden Podcast Services. Indiana's wonderful fiance out there in Nashville, Tennessee, holding it down for us. But y'all know what time it is. My main man, RG, is a picture perfect. He paints a perfect picture. Where were you last night, man, and how was it?
Had to welcome everybody to the Wild Wild West, a state that's untouchable like Elliot Ness. It's track, it's hidden track. Like, oh man, I can't believe you have all that goddamn it.
We're trying to get this shit spicy tonight. I'm in a mood.
Oh man, shout out to the homie Ty Talks, man, for sure, baby. Nah, man, we were blessed last night. Was blessed. I live in a city where there is no professional sports market. So for me to be able to do anything exciting, I got to hit the airwaves. I got to hit the airlines. I got to hit the road. Man. But last night, your boy was blessed with the opportunity to not only go on a last-minute trip to Los Angeles, but to have front row seats in Section 313 of the outfield right over Aaron Judge's shoulder for all 9 innings of Game 2 of the World Series last night. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Still doesn't seem real that I was able to go to a World Series game last night. Just unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. I was sending the crew shots, hopefully, that we could get some of them turned into some snippets. So take a look at some of our socials for some of that dialogue that we were having last night. But just unbelievable, unbelievable atmosphere. Yankee fans in there going nuts. Dodger fans were, of course, repping it. And then it starts off before even the first pitch where Ice Cube walks out of dead center field and performs two songs. The bars were jumping. Even the cops were sitting there, trying their best to keep their stoic faces. But every now and then you could turn over and see a cop just, it was lit, man. West Coast stood up and put on a hell of a show. And then we get to the game and Tommy Edman just continuing his hot streak. And I tell you this, the sound of the ball off of Juan Soto's bat, just you when he hits it, and you know what it is, and it's line drives, not none of these majestic shots that we're used to from the past, just straight over there. But where it got really interesting at was right after Teoscar Hernandez and Freddie Freeman went back to back. I'm not a fan of some of this new school rap, but I'll tell you this: they started playing Mo Bamba by Sheck West, and that place went ape shit. I even, I even found myself. I got home, falling, yon phone. Oh, dude, old people were bouncing, doing it. Yamamoto pitched a hell of a game, and other than the mistake pitches that he gave up, even Rodon kind of held his own down there. And then, of course, to get some drama in the ninth, where the Yankees end up with the bases loaded. Unbelievable day. Unbelievable day. Absolutely blessed to be able to have attended that game and had an experience like that for sure.
No doubt, no doubt. The live chat's been cracking me up all night already, man. But Emmett Brown Judge turned into Julio. Don't disrespect Julio like that, man. Because I got it written down right here first. We're gonna just jump around, man. Because I got more questions for you about your unbelievable experience. But Aaron Judge, MIA, man. This guy's supposed to be maybe the best player in baseball, dude. He's hitting 150 in the postseason, struck out 19 times with a 150 average. And in the World Series, he's 1 for 9, striking out 6 times. You gotta get more from a dude that's supposed to be a Yankees legend. And or Mariners lifer Tay Williams, everyone talking about that big ass Japanese guy that got hurt. I ain't gonna take offense to that, man. And I fancy myself a half Japanese ex second baseman, bro. But my cousins came over for dinner last night. We had the World Series on while we were kicking it and talking and shit. And my cousin turns to me and she goes, "That is the largest Japanese man I've ever seen before."
So what was Yao Ming? Chinese?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, cool. Then I'll give her that one. I will say this. As big as he is, and we went to a Dodger game earlier in the season, Otani's an imposing figure when you see him. And then you see Aaron Judge, and it doesn't even matter. There's a
Hmm.
point during a pitching change where Aaron Judge is standing in the outfield in front of us, and it's Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, and Alex Verdugo. And I swear Soto could have put Verdugo on his shoulders, and they wouldn't have been as tall as Judge. That is a mountain massive man right there. Um, Even from sitting in dead center field, looking at him when he takes his at bat, you can't miss that dude. You can't miss him. Just big boy. Um, yes. Is Judge is big enough to make Otani not opposing? Yeah, yes. Trust me. If Otani walked up to you in a dark alley with a mask on, you'd be scared for your life. And if Judge came around that same corner, both of you would run. Yeah, man. Just just amazing. We'll we can talk about the $80 trips to the bar every time I got up to go get some drinks because it was just fun, man. It was just real fun. Probably the moment that wasn't on TV that I'm proud of that I got to see. We're sitting in a group of some Yankee fans out there, and there's probably a little 9, 10-year-old kid with his family. So Judge sees them, and they go to throw him a ball, and the dude in the front row, 2 seats down from me, puts his hand up, not realizing that the kid was behind him, so he gets the ball, and we all kind of look, and we knew that the kid was there, but some people are just in their own world. So the guy's happy. He goes to high five his boy. He turns and looks and he sees the kid, and he just immediately goes, "Oh shit, my bad," and he hands the kid the ball. So the kid takes the ball, and I tell you, for the next 3 innings, that kid cried like it was Christmas morning, and his dad had just gotten home from the military, and everybody in the section started buying that guy beers for making that kid's life. So there's still some good out in the world. Baseball does bring people together in a way that I believe no other sport really does. But yeah, man, just awesome, awesome experience. And
Mhm.
and we were able to get those tickets for under $1,000 too. So
Oh
that was
wow.
probably
Okay.
the best part about it. Um, Waited until we were stuck in LA traffic driving up to 405 to get them. But yeah, man, we're able to get it done.
And man, I don't know if kids ruin everything, but here I am, a married man with no kids, so I think I might be going out both sides of my mouth on that one. But hey,
41 years old, and all I got is this dog that's sitting here next to me trying to figure out who the hell I'm talking to.
shit, dogs are annoying enough, and I love the hell out of R2. But ugh, oh man, I don't know if we can add a couple more kids in that mix. My headache's bad enough already. But if y'all don't
Grab you a
know,
Tylenol, you might
RG.
need it.
Oh, dude, I mean, I can't get in the stickiest, but I definitely get that CBD going to get my shit right. But I
That
gotta know though, dude. Los Angeles Dodgers. You've been to a regular season game now. You've been to the World Series game. Can you compare them, or is it just a completely uncomparable atmosphere at that point?
the Dodger game we went to early in the season was a Monday night game against the Phillies, so a high profile opponent,
Mm.
jockeying for home field advantage. And I'll tell you, on a Monday night, they got 47,000 people out. And the same thing. Teoscar hit a home run, but this difference was Otani hit a home run in that game. The 47,000 people in that stadium when Otani hit his home run made it seem like it was a World Series game until you actually step foot in a World Series game. Just you could feel the electricity all over the city all day. You could feel it on the interstate. You could feel it while you're pulling into the parking line. You could just see it. There's just nothing like it. Just seeing that symbol and all the marketing behind it. I found myself following the drones all night that were taking the live feeds for Fox. Found myself following them and keeping my eyes on them. Nothing like that during the World Series game. Um, and just really seeing all the pageantry right after the Dodgers got the last out. Center field wall opens up. Here they come wheeling out the Fox set to one side and the MLB network set to the other side. Greg Amzimmer, Keith, uh, Cliff Floyd come walking out, and they got their cameras out because they're just amazed at the atmosphere. Truly nothing like it. And I've been blessed to do some crazy things as a sports fan, even though, like I said, I live in a market where there are no professional sports. Last night takes the cake. Last night absolutely takes the cake. And I've been lucky enough to sit in a room with Roger Goodell and Stephen Jones. Um, Last night blows that away.
Mm. Well, that's freaking awesome, dude. And I mean, to top it off, we got to look at this from a historical context too. As I know a lot of baseball fans did not want to see this matchup, but for me, man, once the Mariners are out, if my team's out, I want to see the best possible matchup that's going to give you the most entertainment. And this is that matchup, not just for how stacked these teams are this year, bro, but they're easily the greatest rivalry in World Series history. They might be the greatest rivalry in pro sports championship series history. This is now the 12th meeting between the Dodgers and the Yankees. The Yankees are 8-3, so the Dodgers got to climb up a big hill to make this shit even long term. But of course, 7 of those matchups were Brooklyn versus the Bronx. So I imagine, and this is just my thoughts, that any World Series game would have a special atmosphere, but the particular matchup you were at in LA, from a historical context as a baseball fan, tops them all easily.
It really is. It really is. And, I try my best, even though for entertainment purposes, we banter back and forth and pick on some people for their opinions and whatnot. Um, I always say I'll never tell you how to fan or who to cheer for, but growing up in the era of just coming out of Bird versus Magic, and then you see Jordan having to go through that gauntlet to for him to become the man. You see, now we both weren't alive the last time that it was Yankees Dodgers World Series because it was 81.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but knowing the history of the two programs and how they're really big, they played in the same neighborhood once upon a fucking time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I fully agree. If the Mariners aren't in it, I want the best versus the best. I I was telling Tex, I've been off air for 2 weeks just because of my work schedule, but I had been in communication with you guys and think during the NL and the ALCS told you that the matchups were 3 of the top 10 payrolls in baseball, and no matter what, one of the top 2 payrolls was going to be guaranteed a spot in the World Series. Um, there's this money doesn't buy championships conversation that goes on, but what money does do is buy you experienced players to be able to put you in the better position to be able to go out and win those
Mm-hmm.
championships. And the one thing that you can say about the Dodgers and the Yankees is they aren't cheap. They have an owner that's willing to spend money to put the best product on the field. And I, for one, wish that we as Mariner fans had the opportunity to have that at least just once. Spend it. Fucking run it. Mariners lose a series to the Savannah Bananas. I probably wouldn't doubt it. Um, but yeah, man, just there's just certain things in life that you'll like. Even the matchup tonight, this San Francisco Cowboys matchup on Monday Night Football means a lot for a lot of people who watch them
Mm-hmm.
battle for the NFC Championship games when you got one team trying to hold on to their dynasty while the other team is trying to restart theirs. And then it switches again as we go from the Cowboys winning in the 70s to the Niners winning in the 80s to the Cowboys going back to winning the 90s. So this matchup even has an appeal to people who live through that. And it's an X factor and an intangible I can't really put my hand on. Um, but yeah, man, it's just nothing like it, bro. Nothing like it. The best versus the best. And I'm proud, man. I really am. I really am proud that I got to go see it or something like that. God has been good to your
Mm-hmm.
boy. So yeah, man, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm just so happy for you. Knowing the type of baseball fan you are, I'm just so happy you got to experience that. I'm also happy that you've been able to work your ass off because obviously going to the game isn't cheap. So you had to have multiple things come together in your life to make that happen. So I just couldn't be happier for you, man. Because y'all don't know, he surprised us. I had no clue. RG, all of a sudden on our group text, y'all, RG just puts up a video of him in center field at the fucking World Series. I was like, what are you doing there, bro? For all I knew, he's at a truck stop in Nebraska. For all I know, and then all of a sudden our boy is there live in person at the frickin' World Series, Los Angeles Dodgers. That's one of my very favorite venues to see on TV. And it's just, to me, it's majestic, and I've never even been there, though. Golly, man. I gotta ask you though, because both of us have kind of been on this same train to a certain extent. I want to go back to game one. Garrett Cole is dominating for the Yankees. He pitches 6 innings, 88 pitches. They pull him out. Now they don't give up the game till several pitchers later, but they blew their best bullpen arms immediately after. They ended up having to go to a starting pitcher who hadn't pitched in a month and a half who needs arm surgery. And so I got to ask you, RG, what are they doing with the preserving the arm analytics in the freaking World Series? If this is June 2nd, I can live with it. But the whole reason you conserve these arms all season is for this moment, and they didn't let a big time pitcher take it as far as he could. That might be a mistake the Yankees regret for a long time.
There's definitely flaws in the managerial style of both managers in this World Series. And
Okay.
if you've watched Dave Roberts enough, uh, me and the homies here that are Dodger fans outside the circle say, you wait long enough, Dave Roberts is going to Dave Roberts this game up. And before he had a chance to Dave Roberts this game up, Aaron Boone Dave Roberts the game up. Um, roll with Rodon. Like even looking at last night, Yamamoto pitched what 4 innings in the NLCS, and they let that boy out there for him to roll last night and pitched himself a hell of a game. That's what brung you. You got one, two, maybe two more chances. You'll get that guy on the hill in the rest of the year. You've been conserving arms all year. You've been doing the analytical shit where you don't want a pitcher to come through the third time around in the lineup. And again, to me, there's a point where the analytics have to go out the door and baseball has to take back over. If that guy's out there dominating, you let him stay the fuck out there. The hardest thing in sports to do is to hit a baseball. And if these guys have proven that they can't do it off of him, let him roll. Let him roll. Again, you have one or two more opportunities you're going to put him back on the hill for. What are you playing for game 6 and 7 and game 1 for already? I personally thought they should have left him out there, but hell, man, it made for great TV and great fucking theatrics.
Oh
Uh,
my God.
and if there was ever a man who deserved to be the only player in World Series to hit a grand slam walk off, it deserves to be Freddie Freeman.
Amen. Amen. I truly hope that his son is doing as well as he can be under those health concerns and whatnot. We all know Freddie took that leave of absence. But I mean, just from as a baseball fan, it's been a long time since I jumped off the seat of my couch with that sort of exuberant attitude. I mean, you would have thought I was a diehard Dodgers fan and I just love baseball, but that moment was that fucking spectacular. We say it all the time, RG. How can you not be romantic about baseball?
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Just some great stuff. I mean, 5 MVPs all playing in the
Mm.
same one World Series. Um, and I think that Stanton's MVP is probably the one that people forget just
Mm.
because it's probably the one that's the most far removed. Um, but yeah, man, just I'll tell you what has been going on is Soto is working his way to getting an Otani type of contract for next season.
Ooh.
Um, Julio needs to watch Judge though for such a big guy to swing so hard at low pitches and not go flailing all over the plate. That's a good point of view there, Emmett Brown, but I'll flip this for you. If there's anyone who should be watching the way that anyone approaches their at bats, it's Juan Soto. It's absolutely Juan Soto. You never see that guy have a terrible at bat. You can watch baseball for 2 months and see him have maybe two terrible at bats in a 2 month span. Where with our boy, with our franchise, it's a roll of the dice every time he gets in the batter's box. Just because one, you don't really know where his head is at. And, again, we talk about his maturity level. But if there was someone, and I think Ty mentioned this in the off mic chat that we have for the show, um, Julio could learn a lot from Juan Soto's approach at the plate. Just his patientness, the way that he's willing to wait, foul off, foul off, foul off. And when that moment happens, it just feels so gigantic because he's set up there and he's taking everything the pitcher can get. And now that balances pitch where the pitcher's like, I don't know what I can do to get this guy up off the plate. But yeah, man, I think that Soto is definitely working his way to become the next over $500-600 million player, and those contract negotiations are going to get ugly. Um, I bet there's a lot of people who would change their mind right now about renting that boy for 1 year. Maybe this team in the Pacific Northwest I can think of.
Oh, I was all for it. You know it. And
me,
I've never
me and you,
had
Mariners lifer, right there, buddy.
I
Yes, sir.
no delusions, no delusions. I always called it a rental. The Mariners aren't going to re-sign a player to what probably going to be $500-600 million contract. But you couldn't be more spot on, bro. Soto's hitting 350 with a 1.160 OPS in the postseason, where even great hitters can fall apart, like Aaron Judge. Alex Rodriguez, we've seen unbelievable talents fall apart in the playoffs. And to top it off, I brought it up right now just because I was curious, dude. Juan Soto is such a great hitter, has such a great approach that even in the postseason, he has 9 walks to 7 strikeouts, which just doesn't happen in this era. You usually have to be a singles hitter like Arraez for San Diego to even have a better walk to strikeout ratio. This dude slugs the shit out of the ball, 9 walks, 7 Ks, and you couldn't be more spot on. Soto's about to be the second richest player in the game this offseason.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. The youth movement in baseball is crazy. And for some of the pieces that we have in that movement, I'm happy to have. It's the pieces that need to be added onto it that'll get it to where it needs to be. And I think our approach and how we're building our offense is going to continue to hold us back.
Well, we're in the hole bad. We're in the hole bad too.
Yeah. Yeah. And then now these players who we were so happy to have while this window was so open, they're all going to begin to get more expensive year by year as years go by. So it's just going to be real tough for us to be able to make that jump. You know, we're not going to be able to compete with the big boys when it comes to what they can offer, but we definitely need some of those players on some type of deal to be able to help us compete with it, and that's what's going to be necessary for it to take. Every time I hear someone say Alex Bregman, the first thing they bring up is cheater. I could care less. I could care less. He defensively is could be better than the options that we have out there. He now I jumped the gun. I hated Rojas. Rojas had a good first 2 months. I told the community captain on Bleacher Report that everyone loves to hate. Maybe I was wrong about it. And then Rojas completely fell the fuck off. We need offense to be able to maintain this. We need better constant bats, and they're just not going to come cheap. We're not going to be able to get those retread tires and get to where we want to be with them. We're going to need, we're definitely going to need people who are outperforming. Watching Teo hit that home run last night was good for him. Good for him. But again, just why we didn't make him a qualifying offer just blows my mind. And if Seattle is such a hard place to hit at, where's all the smart people at who are going to figure out how to not make that so possible? Yes, it's good for our pitching staff, but our offense struggles in Seattle until you get teams like the Guardians who just come up and they're just okay with hitting line drives all day. So where does that change in our approach? What is it about the front office that's making Edgar hesitant from just accepting the job and just rolling with it? Would love to see us be in a position to just to be in this level, dog. Just to be in this level. Of course, the Yankee fans I'm sitting next to, they were trying to be nice and they were like, "Oh, well, the Mariners made the playoffs 2 years ago." I'm like, "Yes, with a 21-year gap in between." And then they said something. I was like, I'm an old school Mariner fan. I don't hate as much as I hate Houston. I hate the Yankees even more. Like, because our only two real opportunities to get to the World Series fell at the hands of the evil empire in 2000 and 2001. That's where I'm trying to get back to, is to that matchup again. I could care less about everybody else in the AL West. I still hate the Yankees for 2000 and 2001. And I don't even know if it's so much them I hate. It's the fact that we just went from setting the world on fire to just couldn't figure out how to get four in October.
I got one thing to say about all the fans that hate Alex Bregman so much. What I don't understand is I'm sure those are the same fans that were cheering for Nelson Cruz. Like, I don't give a shit what you did in the past. Like, I'm the one that always, like, the Astros cheated. They absolutely did. The Yankees are still living on the fact that the Astros cheated on them, what, 7 years ago? But they are the preeminent team of the era, whether you like it or not. We all cheered for Nelson Boomstick Cruz. If they truly think that Bregman can be the difference maker here, I am all in. Plus, he plays a position we need to upgrade, maybe more than any. RG, it's going to be a brutal offseason, though, because by my calculations, we have about $40 million in JP Crawford and the double Mitch Witch, which we'd like to improve on each and every one of those guys. But as a Mariners fan, that's not realistic
At
for
all,
us.
man. At all. Definitely going to have to get off of some of those loyalty contracts. No, it'll be. I don't think anyone's going to be willing to take them off our hands. So I think we kind of might just be stuck with where we're at and getting our big offseason acquisitions are going to be Jose Abreu and Josh Donaldson. And
Oh man, Emmett's on one tonight. Three sorry bastards. I hear you, man. I hear you. It's crazy being a Mariners fan, and I see that Emmett and Sunday Evening are talking about Jaden Daniels' insane Hail Mary pass today. That feels like that sort of Hail Mary pass is what the Mariners need to make it to the frickin' World Series. We're not talentless though, but we do need to somehow catch lightning in a bottle, and that's so hard to do.
it absolutely is. And from my vantage point, the way that I look at it, and it's the way that we're being built is to try to catch lightning in a bottle. It's like that's what we're hoping for,
Mm-hmm.
is to cap it instead of pushing the chips all in and putting the pressure on and saying this is it for us. But man, I'm telling you, dude, that the Bears scored and was like, oh shit. Then to see, and I like listening to Tony Romo call games. So when everybody thought the Hail Mary was coming, that's not when it came. Romo was like, if we can get 10 to 15 yards, that put us closer, especially since Jalen's ribs are injured and can't really heave the ball how he should. Then, like just like Romo calls, they get him. There's probably two offensive holdings that they could have called, but hey, keep the whistle in your pocket. We didn't come here to see you. We came here to see the game. Launches the ball. And when it hits the mosh pit, I'm like, they hit it up. And I didn't even recognize that there was a Washington player just sitting right there, just like, give me the glory. And man, what a great ending to a good game on a Sunday between two rookies that hopefully can develop and have a pretty decent career in the NFL. Um, yeah, man, great, crazy to see, crazy to see. I'm happy for my boy CJ Shroud, even though he's not putting up numbers to help my fantasy team go ape shit. Who gives a fuck where he went to college at? We're talking about the pros, baby. Even though he's not helping me blow fantasy teams out the water, that boy is just winner. That boy is just a winner. And speaking of winners, we need to take a trip up to Cincinnati and give a special shout out to them Philadelphia Eagles. Bird Gang.
Woo-wee.
Bird Gang. Went up to Cincinnati, had some chili, and then proceeded to whoop the shit out the Bengals, man. Good to see. Good to see. Jalen with 3 touchdowns and probably one of the top 5 catches that should make TV tonight Of course, the theatrics in Washington are going to beat it, but the Slim Reaper, baby, yeah, Devontae Smith leaping up to bring home that 44-yard touchdown, baby, getting us in, getting us in. So yeah, man, good day of football, good day of football. Um, Now, if we're gonna talk about losers, let's take a trip to the Pacific Northwest.
Well, this is why I put on my Ohio State gear, man. It's tough. I mean, these guys have said it all. The Seahawks are an inconsistent team at best. Our quarterback's extremely inconsistent. I mean, this is who I thought we were going to be, though. I thought we were going to be another 9-7 record, just like we were the last two seasons. The hope is that we are developing a young core. God, I sound like I'm talking about the Mariners right now, but
Right?
a young core that can move forward and really try to do some damage in a year or two. It's just there's so much unknown though, dude. You have a rookie head coach, you have a rookie OC, you have a rookie DC, and a rookie special teams coordinator. Anyone that wants to fire all these guys right now, I cannot get behind that at all. Because if you're going to go that young and inexperienced at coach, you're going to have to live with the rough patches that come with it. And our coaching staff has looked brilliant a couple of games and looked like the village idiot a couple of games, and they're probably somewhere in between. The only thing that makes me nervous is we fired a coach that was proven. Now, it felt like he was coming towards the very end of his career. It really felt like that. But RG, correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like more first time NFL head coaches fail than succeed.
It's tough, man. It really is tough. I look at the offensive and defensive coordinators that we lost when we went to the Super Bowl in Steichen and Gannon. And they now have pieces where they could try to put it together. But for Steichen, his best piece is a guy who's only played 20 snaps, 20 games at a high level, and half of those are still in college. When I look at Gannon's situation in Arizona, if he could keep them together, they might have something that they could turn into something special out there. But it's just tough. It's just real tough. I mean, you look at even Nick Saban when he came to the NFL, he turned around and ran right back to the SEC. And who could blame him? Um, Urban Meyer with all of his infamy or glory, however you want to look at it, even he couldn't survive in the NFL. The guys who do good jobs of that are built a little bit different. I got one in Philadelphia where his first season we went to the Super Bowl. Last year we started off 10-1 and just played the most mediocre football ever since. And we're 5-2 right now. And there's still people in Philadelphia who want his head on a platter. It's just tough, man. It's just tough. Harbaugh got a good win today with the Chargers, but you know, um, it's just interesting to see. But he also has had his go around as well too. Um, just longevity is tough, man. Longevity is tough. The NFL does stand for not for long. So
Mhm. And it's always evolving. It's always evolving. In a blink of an eye, we went from heavy passing, passing dominating. Now we've seen the defenses get smaller. We've seen a lot more deep zone coverage, keep the ball in front of you. And I feel like the best offenses right now, clearly you need a good quarterback or even a great quarterback. But the teams that are running the ball are the teams that are winning. The Seahawks ran for what seemed like one total yard rushing, RG. And we know that Josh Allen is a vastly superior quarterback to Geno Smith. They ran the shit out of the ball. Guess who dominated? The Bills. I'm going to go to your team, the Eagles. Jalen Hurts might be a very highly compensated quarterback, but that the Eagles as a team will go further if they commit to running the ball with their quarterback also.
we have Saquon and fucking Barkley now. That's
Hmm.
that's
And it's still a good line.
It is. It is. It is. It is very still a very good line. Um, just mind-boggling sometimes. We talked about remember the conversation a couple years ago when everybody in college just started spreading the field and just slinging the ball, and it was, oh, that'll never work in the NFL.
Sure did.
Just I don't know what the hell to tell you. Just the proof is right there in the pudding. Um, it seems that that's all these guys do now is just spread it out and just sling it around. And value in a running back is kind of hard to find, even with the guy like you had, like Kenneth Walker, to have -1 rushing yard is just fucking terrible. Just fucking terrible. But the game is kind of moving away from those days of the dominant running back. But then you look at Detroit, and Jameer Gibbs had himself a hell of a day running the ball. It's the formula to succeed is still there. It's just how long are you going to be dedicated to it, or how long can you stay dedicated to it when all of a sudden you're down 14-0 and then everybody just throws that part of the playbook away and it's just
Hmm.
all right, let's throw.
Mariners lifer, I'm with you. I really like the Detroit Lions. And Texas Power saying is that his Texans are barely scraping by, but that's all you need to do. You just need to stack up wins and get to the playoffs. That's all that matters. The Patriots were barely scraping by for 20 years. The Chiefs seem to win almost every game in some odd, random end of game fashion. It's the NFL, man. You have to win at the very end of these ball games. For the most part, it's who makes the clutch plays down the stretch.
Absolutely, absolutely. The game is won on the trenches and can swing paradigms on one play, one play. But we're still early enough in the year where there's still going to be some exciting football, not only to be played, but also for us to consume and enjoy. We're to the part of the year where college football is about to start heating up and getting awesome as well too. Um, Let me ask you a question. Before you hopped on and off that bandwagon, did you at least wrap your ankles first?
Oh, hardcore. I'm too old and out of shape to not get ready for any of the worst case scenarios, man. And I mean, here's the worst thing about this state right now is I love all the Seattle teams to death, but the worst part is the Oregon Ducks are first in college football right now. Will somebody please knock the Ducks out? If they win the chip this year, I'm going to lose my mind, but this will be a fun thing to talk about in the winter when baseball is usually dead. We have a 12-team college football playoff. If
Yes,
you
we do.
even like college football, how freaking awesome is this going to be, guys? I am jacked because it seems pretty even right now. I didn't know about Georgia because they lost to Alabama, but man, against Texas, that looked like that Georgia defense that's kicking ass and taking names. It's going to be really fun, dude.
Well, I'll tell you this. Everyone's enjoying the thought of this 12-team playoff until the first rankings drop in 2 weeks and you see 5 SEC teams in there. That's going to piss everybody off. There, I guarantee you, a 3-loss Alabama makes that 12-team playoff. Can guarantee it. The nastiest work that could happen. I I love it. I love it. I love the fact, um, Notre Dame's going to make this interesting. Miami going to make this interesting. As much as I hate the Hurricanes, Florida State should have absolutely paid Cam Ward, and we're 1-7 because we went for DJ Umbrella Ukulele, whatever the fuck that boy's name is. Um, yeah, it's
uh,
going to be real interesting to see how this thing comes down towards the end, and now that a lot of these conferences don't do the East and West for their conference championship, and it really is one versus two, you're going to get to see some really compelling football. And that was one thing that people were worried about was does it take away from the regular season games now that so many people get in? And I say hell no. That's the best thing about these power conferences is that they're going to have to go through the gauntlet of going through each other. The iron's going to sharpen iron. And when we get to this playoff, we're going to see some pretty good football being played. So yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
I like how you mentioned about people staying in it, wondering how much the regular season games are going to matter now that there's 12 teams instead of 4. You made a couple of comments there that really piqued my brain right there. And you're so right. 12 teams, and there's going to be 6 fan bases that are absolutely livid that they aren't there. At first, I was like, oh, no way, that's 12 teams. Of course, there's 68 teams in the college basketball tournament, and there is still 30 more after the 68 that are pissed off that they're not in.
Hmm.
That's the fun of being a sports fan. But one thing we talk about with baseball that they got so right from their business model and for their fans is the extra wild card keeps teams in it longer. The
Hmm.
Mariners would have been adios amigo a long ass time ago. Instead, we were in it until the end the last few years. And I feel that maybe the 12-team playoff is going to keep a lot more fans in it longer because you feel that your team's going to have a shot. And we got to be real here, too. The bowl games don't mean what they were when we were youngsters. Bowl games used to be extremely important. And now it's at the point I have zero ill will, anger, or animus or anything of that nature towards players that want to sit out so they can make sure to protect themselves to try to make an NFL career. So we got to look at it both ways, man. The playoffs here, the bowl games don't have the same meaning. So everyone's gearing up to try to be in that top 12. And you're right. There's going to be an SEC bias. And you know what? There probably should be.
Think so. I think so. Let's get in here to some of the comments real quick. Emmett Brown says, I'm excited to see all the scandals that'll come out in college football in the next 5 years. All this NIL is bound to go sideways quickly. I I don't want to say that I'm a fan of the NIL, but let's go back to even the story of the Fat Five in Michigan for college basketball. You are making a hell of an income off of my sweat and labor, and I can't get $5 to go down to my local McDonald's and get a McChicken and a sweet tea. And if I do, I can get kicked out of school for that. Yet these stadiums are massive. They hold a hundred
Mm-hmm.
thousand people, 7, 8 games, 7, 8 times a year. $10,000 sweet seats every game that's going on, making a killing off the labor of these 18 and 19-year-old athletes. And you want to sell them on the value of an education, but we all know in the way that this thing works now, even that's not as valuable as it once used to be. Um, has NIL made college football more even? I don't really know if I can say that because you're still going to have the haves and the have nots. That's how capitalism works. Capitalism can't work without the haves and the have nots. And you bring up a very good point. Would Vandy be good without it? The kid that's the quarterback from Vanderbilt is from here in my hometown of Albuquerque, Diego Pavia. Don't know him personally, but he's got some uncles around here I like to have a word with, but we'll get to that in another date. Um, it's just crazy how it is. And then you got these coaches who, oh, this game isn't meant for me. This game isn't meant for me. Well, when you were getting a bulk of this and you were being able to pay these kids under the table, it worked for you. But now that you have
Mm-hmm.
these collectives going out for fundraising, I mean, what is it that Tennessee did? Tennessee just recently added a 10% fee to all their tickets sold so that way they could be able to offset the cost of what they're giving to some of these athletes. I guess I just don't understand how it was fine for you when it worked under the table, but now that it's an open and fair market, and we all want an open and fair market. We all want to be paid what we're worth. There's not a single person that has a job that will go to their job for anything less than what they feel that they're worth. And if you do, what do you do at work all day? Oh, these motherfuckers ain't paying me enough. I work too hard for this little ass amount of money. But yet you're gonna knock a kid for accepting an NIL deal to go to this school or the other. And then not all of them are created equal either. Look at the quarterback from UNLV who came out a couple weeks ago, and we have our first contract holdout in the NIL because he said, "Look, I was promised $100,000 to come to this school. They gave me $3,000. Either you pay up or I ain't playing." Props to that kid. Props to that kid. Oh well, this was wrong with the whole thing. Nah, man. If if you well, what did the Notorious B.I.G. tell us? That if you ain't got the clientele, say hell no, because they gonna want their money, rain, sleet, hell, snow. Young, athletic, and egotistical kids with crazy money coming in. It's gonna be insane. It's been that way from the jump. You just didn't know about it because those numbers weren't projected to you on Sports Center and in your local media about how much this kid got paid to come out and do this. It's always been like that. It's just no secret to it anymore. You know, like I take a look at the weed business. There's guys that are in jail serving sentences that, unless something really happens with the legislative in this country, they'll never get out for. And he can look out the window and see some 25-year-old rolling around in his $1 million sports car that just sold the same amount of weed, but it's legal now. Well, it's a penalty and a crime for the first guy, but the second guy gets to go out and reap the benefits of his reward. It's just fucking crazy, bro. It's just fucking crazy.
It really is. And I mean, this isn't anything like you said, this isn't new. I mean, people were getting envelopes of cash dating back to UCLA's dynasty with John Wooden. It's either you are willing to accept what was going on behind closed doors, or you wanted to kind of look away and pretend it didn't exist. The one thing I do like, though, is at least from like the pro level, like these NFL teams and NBA teams aren't going to have to wonder how a young man like is going to react to big time money. That's going to be a really helpful tool for these pro sports teams, the NBA, NFL, because they're always trying to predict how a young man is going to act when he gets paid in his early 20s or late teens. They're already going to know this about top stars. So it's going to help them for that matter. And like you said, I couldn't agree more. I mean, there has been envelopes like you're watching The Sopranos since way before any of us were born. Unless you want to be completely naive, we know that the John Wooden dynasty was built on that money. They didn't get Lou Alcindor from New York City just because he wanted to go to California that much. Come on now.
At all. At all. You know where Lawrence, Kansas is? I try. Case in point. Case in point. Do you know where Lawrence, Kansas
uh,
is? Do you have you, if you were 18 years old, do the words Stores, Connecticut make your dick hard? No. Come on. Come on. You got to be kidding me, man. You got to be absolutely kidding me. This is the way that it's been played. It's been, what was the hype during the Oregon Ohio State game? That Ohio State has a $20 million college football roster and no one gives a shit. Come on, man. You you'd have to be crazy to think that it's been anything other than this. And I, for one, don't have a problem with Reggie Bush's lawsuit. It was like, you're letting this shit run rampant and you tried to destroy my life over this. Now you gonna pay me. You gonna pay me. Hey Williams, baby, welcome back to the chat, man.
oh, he's probably into his game big time right now. Emmett Brown, you brought up a great point because the Oregon Ducks are my most hated college football team, or frick, any college program for that matter. Phil Knight, the owner and creator of Nike, is getting closer to the end than the beginning of his life, and he has pledged whatever NIL money it will take for that program to win a chip before his time passes. So we know Oregon's going to be all in on this thing, and it is interesting to me though, because look at what Ohio State did. They took a running back from Ole Miss. They took the star safety from Alabama. So I think it's going to even things out amongst some of the top dogs. But you're right, there's programs that are getting left behind big time. I noticed Mississippi State's at 1-7, 1-8. They've never been great, but they've always been pretty respectable. But I don't know, but I sure assume that Mississippi State doesn't have nearly the funds that their competitors have. And another great example I'd like to use is actually the Wazoo Cougars are having a really good season before. I believe they've only lost once. They're 6-1 or 7-1. But RG, their head coach, Dickert, his rallying cry to his team so far is, guys, we've beat two $5 million teams so far. So they're not even trying to hide it. I've heard Dicker on the local media say, hey, I tell my guys we can beat anyone because y'all, we beat two $5 million teams so far.
Yeah, I mean, there's no secret. There's no secret about it. Emmett Brown says, whose alumni is going to create the next powerhouse? Is it the Catholics in Notre Dame? Is Nike about to rule the world in Oregon? The landscape is going to shift big time. It already has. It already has. And as much as it pains me to say this, you want to know whose fan base might carry the most weight financially? Just because of how many people have graduated from that school that hold prestigious accolades across this country, is that ugly ass hat that Tyler has on right now. For real, dude. For real.
I mean, they're probably the richest right now in terms of NIL cash.
They have the firepower to be able to do whatever the hell they want. And so be it. Let it happen. Let it happen. It's the way that baseball has been played. It's almost the way that some football has been played. Just, if you can go out and afford it, go out and buy it. Go out and buy it. And if you want to stop it, get your money up. That's the way that leagues work in the real life. I'm not mad at it at all.
Fair enough, fair enough. I thought there was a really interesting point too by Texas Power Ranger. Would Vandy be good without it? Probably not
No,
as good. And one thing I really want to mention too that I think is really interesting is Vanderbilt is a very wealthy private school. I mean, Vanderbilt is such old money. I mean, the Vanderbilt family is probably rich before the Emancipation Proclamation. That's how far
Vanderbilt,
back their money goes. So they're going to be able to do some shit.
for you tinfoil hat people, kind of like I am, Vanderbilt is one of the five families rich. Vanderbilt is one of the five families rich. So we're talking we're talking the money that doesn't get audited rich. Yeah, man. It's going to be, like you said, it's going to be real interesting over the next few years, and you'll be able to see it. You'll be able to see it. You can't hide money. You can't hide money, which is one of the crazy things that we will even go back to a guy who got caught up to this, like Cam Newton, when they suspected that Cam Newton's dad had accepted the money from that thing. Cam Newton's family is from a small ass town. And you think that $200 can show up to a small ass town and nobody notice? $200 can show up to the neighborhood that you live in, and you'd absolutely be able to know this. You know? So, yeah, man, all praise be it. If you have it, you have it. Flaunt it if you got it. That's that's the way that the rappers taught me how economics works.
The one thing that's going to remain true, though, is how much coaching matters. Coaching matters in football so freaking much that you can have all the NIL money in the world, and if you have the wrong coach in place, it's not going to work. UW is actually going to be able to battle harder for recruits than I think a lot of people outside the state of Washington realize. There's a lot of money within the donors at UW. There's a ton of money within the donors at USC. Both teams are struggling to even be mediocre right now, and it's because both programs probably don't have the right head coach right now. Ask Alabama how they're feeling right now. Lord knows I would bring Kalen DeBoer back here in 1 second if he got fired. But all I'm saying, though, is at the same token, the NIL money matters a ton. But if you have the wrong coach, it still you'll still mire in mediocrity like UW, like USC.
Yeah, man, and give it some time for it to all figured out. This will all come out in the wash once everybody kind of gets used to what it is. But think about how hard it's going to be. I mean, there was come a time where USC could have the pick of the litter of anyone that came out of that California region. Now, even CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud is from Rancho Cucamonga, California, an hour away from USC's campus. And I'm telling you, there was nothing that they could offer that boy to not get him to go to Ohio State. Just it's going to be absolutely crazy. It's absolutely the wild wild west. And yes, Emmett Brown, old money is the real in this discussion. Not Jeff Bezos money, not Steve. It's gonna be that old time money because that's where these universities were founded from. So let uh let Penn State get this thing figured out. Ohio State is already well ahead of the game. Um, USC will get it figured out. They're still Southern California. California still, regardless of how bad they are trying to screw it up, they still have the fifth largest economy in the entire world. They'll get it
Dude,
figured
that's
out.
crazy.
Trust me.
That's
Yes.
crazy.
Yes. For those of you who did not miss me the first time, I will tell you the state of California has the fifth largest economy in the entire world. Give them a chance. They'll figure it out. And they don't
That's
really
wild.
have any other competitors well too because Cal Berkeley's not going to go out and spend that money for that. They're still focused on education. And San
Mm.
Diego State ain't going to go out and go do that. Yeah, give USC some time to get this thing figured out. They'll get it right.
I mean, shit, dude. The Stanford alumni is like embarrassed when their football team is good. I mean, that's kind of how the shit goes at some of these schools on the West Coast. Texas Power has a great point. Michigan had 13 players drafted. Washington had 10. And the real kicker, dude, is with the transfer portal and coaches leaving, the Huskies only had two returning starters to the roster. So I knew that this was a rebuilding year for the Huskies. It just kind of sucks that we moved to a tougher conference when it happened in an unforeseen circumstance that should have been obvious as hell. I feel like an idiot. I didn't see this coming, but these college students going both ways on these cross country flights are struggling. The Huskies have not lost at Husky Stadium this year. They've lost every game on the road. I would pretty much guarantee that Michigan stomps on the Huskies if they play in Ann Arbor. Instead, they came out to Seattle. The Huskies gave it to them pretty good. But the Huskies cannot find a win traveling outside the time zone because in the past, until just this year, the furthest east you would go would be Colorado or Arizona.
Yeah, man. You got college athletes that are going to get more frequent flyer miles than professional athletes over the next couple years. Just what was it?
True.
They totaled it up. Normally Hawaii leads in miles traveled just because they're 6 hours off the coast. There's teams who are going to travel more than Hawaii does this year, and it's not even going to be close. Plus, we're still talking about 18, 19, 20-year olds that still have to go to class before that flight leaves. So well at least the ones that are trying to get good grades. It's just you know you're still going to have to go to class before that flight leaves, and when during that flight back home, you're still going to have to try to do some homework that has to be submitted by Sunday at 11:59. So yeah, man, it's going to be definitely interesting. I feel it's all bad long term. Kind of hard to say. Kind of hard to say. It won't be for the money. I'll tell you that though. The money's going to win, and that's who already has won in all of this is the money.
Mm. I think Mariners Lifer just put up a fantastic point because I'm 1,000% behind NIL and the transfer portal. There's just got to be some sort of league rules here that need to be established. The problem is the NCAA has lost complete control, but they've been a joke of a governing body since the time I've been alive. So I don't know if I could have trusted them anyways. But maybe there's got to be like contracts, so the kid at UNLV doesn't show up and get 3% of what he was promised and vice versa. Like maybe you sign a contract where the NIL is 50 grand period, and you stay for 1 or 2 years. I don't need it to be hardcore, but I am with it that just a little bit of rules, just a little bit of governing would probably go a long way. But I kind of like the Wild Wild West though, man. I mean, just from a fan's point of view, and you like the chaos even more than me, RG. But it's kind of fun to see some of these establishments get a little bit frazzled with what's going on lately.
Yeah, man. Big bank take little bank. Big bank take little bank all day. What you're seeing is the rules of the street are now taking over the rules of corporate America. And they've really ran parallel to each other for a very long time. Just now in the days that there's no such thing as a secret, we're all starting to really get to see how the two intertwine and really work with each other. My question is this: who's going to govern what, and what kind of regulation can you sit on? Because you're going to tell on yourself. The more you're pushing to have Congress step in and come do this, you're going to tell on yourself. You're going to pull a Bud Selig, and you're going to get and you're going to get your secrets exposed. But you knew that this was going to happen. One side was too powerful throughout the whole thing. We got the NIL thing put into place. Everybody finally got NCAA football 2024. That couldn't have happened in this world.
You know your
You
boy's
know,
playing that shit.
of course it is. Of course it is. You're willing to take the good that comes along with it, but you want to nit point at the bad that takes place in order for it to happen. I'm sorry, man. Such is life. Such is life. Get used to it and deal with it, because if you try to regulate it, you're going to end up snitching on yourself. Just slippery slope, man.
And I guess what can they do really at this point?
Jack shit is the answer. Jack shit's the answer. You want Congress to come step in and take over? Those would be the last people I would want interfering in your daily basis, in your daily business, if that's what you're trying to do to get this thing kind of rattled in. But again,
No, I'm thinking NCAA, but like I said, as a governing body, they've
and
been
the NCAA
pathetic for
can't do
my
shit.
entire life.
The
Okay.
playoff isn't even controlled by the NCAA. They don't have
So,
anything to do with the college playoff.
hey, you just said it. College football 25 is specifically called that because college football is not allowing themselves to be governed by the NCAA. And all of the years past, that video game was NCAA 2001. It's
And not only that,
specifically college football 25.
I'm talking about the actual trophy that we're getting ready to watch getting handed out this year. Since they started this playoff, that playoff is not under control by the NCAA.
Oh, that's a good point.
That's right.
Oh, that's a good point, dude. Well, this has been fun, man. I didn't know we'd go down this path today, but this is why I love having you back on the mic, man, because you never know which direction we're going to take it. My oh my, it's another sports podcast. We aim to be the most interactive show on the game, and I feel like the live chat has given us a ton to think about and talk about in terms of the new age of college football. And I had no clue we were going to go here, but I love it though, man, because I just love college football. Even though it still pisses me off that it seems like 2/3 of the games are blowouts that I end up turning off. But hey, when there's a good college football game, oh boy,
Nothing like it.
I am glued.
Nothing like
I'm
it.
glued.
Nothing like it. Wait until Maction starts on election night. I know what I'll be watching. It won't be poll numbers. I'll tell you that right now. Tell you that right now.
I don't
Man,
want to
this
know what happens, man. I don't want to get into politics, but all I know is whichever side loses, there will be riots. And so that's why I can't have any fan base of a political side. I can't get behind you right now because both sides are going to be doing the same stupid ass shit, ruining their community or running up into the White House or some bullshit like that. People, yeah, we got to start worrying about our families more than other people, man. That's my one statement on that. We got to
only
worry about our families,
the
our
only poll
people.
I'm concerned about is when they drop the rankings for college football playoff, baby.
Oh, let's go.
That's about
Let's
it. That's
go.
about it. Man, again, a special shout out to all of you who've been rocking with us in the live chat tonight. My Oh My, it's another sports podcast. Is brought to you each and every week by the good folks at Vaden Podcast Services. Shout out to the homie Indy. Makes it sound like $1,000,000, man. Does his work every week. You can follow us on our socials at My Oh My ASP. We are on YouTube. We're on Twitch. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You want to see some of the content that I posted up from the World Series game? Be sure to check it out and catch it there. As always, a big special shout out to our social media director, Miss Katie Masamoto. We couldn't do this without your hard work. Don't forget to check out Indy's music page, Death to Indy, on YouTube. You might find some tracks that you like. Go ahead and give them a spin and help get those numbers up. The homie Ty Talks coming to you all the way from Lake Stevens. I'm your boy here in Albuquerque. I go by the name of RG, man. Been happy to rock with you. For those of you who can't catch the live, each and every episode does drop on Monday and Tuesday on your favorite platforms where you like to get your favorite podcast from. We couldn't do this without you. You guys are helping us climb up the charts. You guys are helping us be in a position where we could get potential looked at for sponsorships to just help make this show better for the engagement that you give us, man. And again, we're happy to have each of you walking with us in the live chat and the ones of you that keep hitting that download page and make this thing special. You're always welcome to come join on with us. Just send our boy Indy a DM and we'll try to get you on. Again, we thank you for someone like Jerry B6, who's always down to come and rock it with us. And a big shout out to the homie Eric Neal, too. Again, that's the homie Ty Talks. I go by the name of RG. Man, we thank you for rocking with us each and every Sunday night for another episode of My Oh My. It's another sports podcast.